there are stories about what happened.
It's true. All of it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Star Wars Canon Library. You heard the man, there were stories, and they're all true. My name is Brian, I'm the librarian here at the Canon Library, where we're keeping all of the canon in chronological order for you guys. Welcome to Monday Mailbag, guys. I know last week it was a little late. This week I'm finally getting it out on Monday, as well as Journal of the Jedi, which should have been out on Thursday, but I had some issues with editing. It should be uploaded by now as well. But like I said, today is Monday Mailbag. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is a show where all we do is answer your email questions about Star Wars and Star Wars canon. How do you guys get a question on the Canon Library? Excuse me, sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. How do you get a question on the Canon Library? Simply email it to us at starwarscanonlibrary@gmail.com, or you can visit our website, starwarscanonlibrary.com, and go to the Contact Us page there and send it as a message through the website. But for this week, I've got 5 questions for you guys. I'm not sure how long this particular video is going to go yet. Probably not very long. I've got some other things I've got to get done today, so here we go. I'm just going to jump right into this. And question number 1 this week comes from John Figueroa. I think I said your name right. Guys, I'm really bad with names. Figueroa, I think is how you pronounce that. And John asks, "Hey Brian, been following you since 2015. Love the vids and the work you put into your channel." Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that, especially for being a follower for that long. We started in August. Actually, I think it was about August, September, something like that of 2015. So it's really cool to have you still following, brother. John says, "My only problem with The Last Jedi was Canto Bight. We spent 40 minutes on that planet, and it literally had nothing to do with the story. Completely unneeded. What do you think?" Thanks for the question, John. And first off, after I read this question, I went back and looked at The Last Jedi and timed how much of the movie was actually on Canto Bight, the actual scenes that were on Canto Bight, and it came out to just shy of 11 minutes. I think it was like 10 minutes and 50 some odd seconds is what it came out to as time on Canto Bight, when we actually see Canto Bight. And I'm not counting that little tag scene at the end with Broom Kid. I'm not counting that. I'm just counting the actual casino scene, the Fathiers, everything like that. 10 minutes, 50 some odd seconds. It was nowhere near 40 minutes. And you're not the first person I've seen say that it was 40 minutes. A lot of people thought it was 30 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that. And it may have seemed like it, but it actually wasn't. Out of a movie that was 2 hours and 30 some odd minutes long, 10, 11 minutes is not very much of the movie being spent on a particular planet. So, but you ask what I thought of Canto Bight. You said you felt like it was an unneeded sequence. I can see where people are coming from with that. I really can. But at the same time, I didn't mind it personally. I had read the novel Canto Bight going into it, those 4 little novelettes in that novel, but it was enough to prepare me for Canto Bight, but I kind of got a feeling what Canto Bight was going to be at that point. But as far as it being in the film, I didn't mind it so much at all, really. Like I said, we only spent like 10 or 11 minutes there, and yeah, there's going to be casinos in Star Wars. It's not just underground gambling, you know, like we're probably going to see in the Solo film. It's a society. There's people that want to go to casinos and gamble. It's no different than nowadays, you know. That's like saying, oh, you have water farmers, really? You know, it's really no different than that. I would almost be more shocked that the galaxy didn't have casinos like that with some really what's the word I'm looking for? Really ritzy, high dollar society, stuff like that, snobs, if you would. I would actually be more shocked that that didn't exist. Was it executed perfectly? No, nothing's ever going to be executed perfectly, but I didn't mind it so much, to be honest. And you know, it did serve a purpose. You know, this Master Codebreaker was going to be on this planet. Did it have to be a casino planet? Not necessarily, but did it I mean, they had to go to that planet to find this guy. Okay, so let's say you're looking for, I don't know, just anybody with a certain set of skills, and they're like, well, he's going to be at the casino. up north of town. You're gonna have to go find him. He spends his time at the casino. So what? That's what he likes to do. You know, that's where you're gonna have to go find him. It would make sense that would be in the story. Now with the whole fathier chase and stuff like that, you know, I've seen memes talking about, oh, they freed the animals, but they left the slave kids behind. Awesome. And that actually didn't dawn on me until somebody brought that up. But that is one problem, you know, they left the slave kids and freed the animals. That's a little weird. But the whole fathier thing, it was more for Rose than anything. If you really, a lot of people hate the character Rose. If you really delve into what her character is and why she is the way she is and where she comes from and the past she's had and the family she had, if you read Cobalt Squadron, you know, some of the Forces of Destiny comics, Rose is actually a pretty understandable character. And for her to have the feeling she does towards something like Canto Bight makes sense. And something as little as freeing the Fathiers would have meant the world to her. And really that was more... It was for her benefit, but it was more of a relationship building thing between Finn and Rose. Am I saying it was done perfectly? No, but it's there. That was the whole reason for it. It wasn't just for some action sequence of them trying to get away. But yeah, I can see why people didn't like Canto Bight. Me personally, I didn't mind it so much. I tend to have the ability to, and I'm not saying you guys don't take this the wrong way, but I tend to have the outlook of, you know, I can appreciate something for what it is, what they were trying to go for. And I can not always, but a lot of times I can appreciate something on a larger scale than what they may even meant for viewers to appreciate it on. But I hope that answers your question, John. Thank you for sending it in, brother. Thank you for being a follower. Thanks. That's all I can say, man. Because look, guys, I know I say it a lot. This channel wouldn't be anything without you guys. And the fact that, you know, you guys are sending in questions, wanting to know more about Star Wars, asking me my opinion, that means a lot to me. So seriously, when I say thank you guys for being followers, I really do mean it. So thank you, John. I do appreciate it. Question number 2 this week comes from Ethan Rowley. And Ethan says, I love Jabba the Hutt. He's one of my favorite aspects of Star Wars, and I would love to see more references to him. So my question is, do you think Jabba ends up making a cameo in the Solo film? And if so, do you think they will CGI him or go back to the old puppet? Thanks, Brian. Thank you for the question, Ethan. That's a good question and one that we're going to have answered in, just a few weeks. Do I think Jabba's going to make a cameo in Solo? I would almost be willing to put money on it. And to answer your other question, I'm going to almost put money on it's going to be a puppet. Lucasfilm has really gone out of their way. Look, if it's a new character they're introducing, right? Like Maz Kanata, for instance. Snoke, for another instance. If it's a new character they're introducing that we've never seen before, they're going more for the motion capture kind of, aspect of it. When you look at characters that we've gotten in the classic trilogy that are now making appearances in other films, Tarkin excluded, that's kind of a different situation with the CGI face. Tarkin's no longer with us. That's kind of a different situation. And with Leia, she was a human being. It made sense to CGI her. But when you're talking about alien species like Yoda in The Last Jedi, they went back to the puppet for Yoda. Now that was more of a continuity thing because that was we saw him as a puppet the last time in Jedi, right, when he passed away. So it made more sense to bring him in as a puppet and not CGI like in the prequels. With Jabba the Hutt, I'm almost willing to bet it's going to be a puppet. Even though we see a CG version of him in A New Hope now in the Blu-ray, I still think they're going to go back to the puppet. They're really making it a point to really drive home this fact now that they're using practical effects where they can and CG where they can't use practical effects. So yeah, there's a scene in Solo where he goes to Jabba's palace and he talks to Jabba and he gets this spice contract that, that in the EU was, well, actually even in Legends now, the spice contract that he got from Jabba, and then he ends up dumping it later on, that's probably going to be a puppet Jabba. And look, before Last Jedi came out, I told everybody, if Puppet Yoda popped up in Last Jedi, I was going to lose my mind. I was going to bawl my eyes out, and it happened, and I did. I watched the Blu-ray again the other day, and I cried my eyes out again seeing Puppet Yoda, because that's my Yoda, right? So if Solo comes out, I'm gonna say it again for a new film. If Solo comes out and we get a puppet Jabba the Hutt in it, I'm gonna bawl my eyes out. It's gonna be so cool to see that again, especially considering it would make sense to have Jabba there. If you're doing a solo film, take that opportunity to do something like that. Don't shoehorn him in, but naturally have him come in, you know. So we'll see where that goes. I'm hoping to God they do the puppet. Jesus, if they do, like I said, I'm going to lose my freaking mind. So, and if it's done right, they might do a puppet that looks, I mean, it may look like Jabba, but if they don't get the right people to kind of give him the same mannerisms, it could ruin it. So fingers crossed that turns out the way I'm hoping it does. So thanks for the question, Ethan. Question number 3 this week comes from Barry Wimberly. I think I said your name right. Like I said, guys, I'm really, really bad with names. And Barry says, "Hey, Brian, love the channel. It's so refreshing to have found someone who tells their opinion and sticks to it, even if it is the unpopular opinion, especially in a fandom like Star Wars." Thank you, man. I do appreciate that very, very much. My question is, do you think we will ever hit a point in canon where there's multiple layers like in the old EU? Thank you for what you do and keep up the great work. Thanks for the question, Barry. And to answer that, we kind of, man, I hate to say it. I really, really do, because I'm a Canon junkie. You can see the shelf back there. I read everything, top to bottom, left to right. It's inside out, backwards, forwards, upside down. I read everything Canon. And I love the new canon. I love the aspect of a new canon, you know, connecting everything together. However, I'm going to tell you guys the way it is. We are at that point where we have a couple different layers of canon at this point. It is still all canon, not like the EU. Not all of that was canon, right? Actually, none of that was canon, but none of it was really consistent. Not all of it. I shouldn't say none of it. Not all of it was consistent with each other. At least, look, even though we have different layers of canon now, we have what I would say we have 3. This isn't take it to the bank confirmed. I'm just saying, in my opinion, we have 3 different layers of canon right now. In the EU, we had like 5, 6, 7 layers that some of it didn't even connect back to other stuff. At least with these 3 layers of canon, everything still kind of connects back to itself. And the 3 layers of canon I say we have now, and this is, remember, this is just my opinion. We have canon, we have canon adjacent, and we have pseudo-canon. That's what I call pseudo-canon. And let's see, canon would be, you know, the bulk of the novels that are coming out now. All of the new novels coming out. All the new comics coming out. What else? Video games, TV shows. All of that is canon, right? Canon adjacent, in my opinion, would be something like the Lego Freemaker adventures. That is the story itself is canon, but the details are really fuzzy. You know, that's meant to be a comedy. Star Wars isn't as comedic as Lego would do, right? So the events in the Freemaker series are canon, but not the details on how they happened is canon, if that makes sense. So it's canon adjacent. I don't keep up with Freemakers, just so you guys know. Never really put in the time and effort for it, but part of me has wondered if I need to go back and get it and actually just kind of sit down and buzz through it just for the hell of it. But that's what I would call canon adjacent. Pseudo-canon would be something like the novelizations for episodes 1, 2, and 3. Where, yes, those novels in a loophole kind of way are canon, but they kind of aren't. Look, with the novelizations now, with like 7, 8, Rogue One, soon to be Solo, those novelizations have extra scenes in them that are canon. Even though they weren't in the film, they are canon. Alright, so yes, the novelizations of 1, 2, and 3 had extra scenes in them, but those are no longer canon. Unless it's in the film. The only way the novelizations of 1, 2, and 3 are actual canon is where it lines up with the movie. That's it. It's not one of those things like in The Last Jedi, in the novelization, there were so many scenes that weren't in the film, but those actually did happen. They just weren't in the movie. We didn't see them, but they did happen. With 1, 2, and 3, those extra scenes, if you read through that and you see a scene of Padme talking to Mon Mothma and Bail Organa about starting the Rebel Alliance. Yeah, that scene is a deleted scene, and they filmed it, but that's not canon anymore. That is not canon. Those scenes are not canon anymore. So that's the different layers that I would say we have at this point, those 3 layers. Could we have more later on down the road? Depends on what kind of medium they want to put material out in. Like this Lego thing, the Freemakers, that's more for kids, right? But the story itself, the actual events are canon, but not as hard canon as, let's say, the novels are with, let's like Inferno Squad or, just Lords of the Sith, Tarkin, any of those are all hard canon. So, but do I think it could get worse at some point? I'm hoping to God not. I really, really hope. I hope to God not. Look, you always see people crying online about the difference between EU and canon, and they're always saying, well, give it 20, 30 years. It'll be erased and started over. Nah, I don't think it will. Not this time. I actually wrote an article last week, put it on canonlibrary.com, and shared it to a Facebook page, and it pissed off a lot of people. It pissed off quite a few people. And then the Facebook page decided to censor everybody's comments. So I'm not going to say the name of the Facebook page. I'm not going to call them out. But that happened. And people get that butthurt over anything that has to do with Legends and canon now. So the new canon is going to go on for a long time. If it wasn't, they wouldn't be basing films off of some of the details in some of these novels and comics and stuff like that. It's all going to end up coming back around. No matter what, all of it's going to come back together. So thanks for the question, Barry. I do appreciate it. Question number 4 this week comes from Lisa Roths. And Lisa says, with the news that Meryl Streep might be playing Leia in episode 9, what are your thoughts on this? Good choice, bad choice? I watched your Mailbag episode last week and have to say good for you for not pandering to the masses that hate everything new we're getting. Thank you. Stay positive. Thanks for the question, Lisa. And thank you for your comments as far as not pandering. That last week's Mailbag, I touched on that a little bit. And it's one of those things, if you guys haven't watched that, just in a nutshell, I'm not going to change my opinion just because I could get more views for doing it. My opinion is my opinion. It's not fact. Does that make sense? This is just me putting my opinion out there. At least I have the balls to put my opinion out there. You know what I mean? So, thank you for those comments. I do appreciate it. As far as Meryl Streep is concerned, they did confirm yesterday that was just rumor, that they don't have any intention of doing that right now. And I wondered too. I did a live Q&A over the weekend on the Facebook page, and somebody was asking me about that. And I said I'd give more thoughts once it was confirmed. Well, they actually came out yesterday or today. I think it was yesterday. They confirmed that is not happening. So, as far as Leia is concerned, look, if they had cast Meryl Streep, I don't know how I'd feel about it. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's a lose-lose for Disney. No matter what they decide to do, people are going to complain about the decision they made as far as Leia is concerned. If you recast Leia, people are going to complain, oh, she sucks as an actress. She sucks as Leia. If you kill Leia off between 8 and 9, which I personally think they should do, everybody's going to complain, well, why didn't you give her an on-screen death? If you CG her, people are going to go, oh, it doesn't look like it. No matter what Disney does, people are going to complain. So right now it's a lose-lose-lose situation for Disney. So they just need to bite the bullet, make a decision, and just do it. Forget what everybody's going to say. Just do what they feel is best for the story. Personally, this is just me. Like I said, I would rather see them kill her off between 8 and 9. Opening line of the crawl, General Organa has been assassinated or something like that. Or General Leia has become one with the Force or something like that. And then open it with her funeral, with Poe taking over the reins. Because they're really grooming Poe in the comics to take over for Leia once she's gone. So I think we're going to see that in episode 9. But look, if they kill Leia off between 8 and 9, put it in a novel and let Claudia Gray write it. Of any author, I think Claudia Gray is the one that could do the best on writing that book, and really, she nails Leia every time. She's written 2 Leia novels so far, and both of them were dead on Leia. Leia in different parts of her life, too. You went from Leia like 6 years before Force Awakens to 16-year-old Leia, and both were perfectly natural. So give her the death of Leia. That is something that Claudia Gray hits readers with an emotional impact. Especially if you guys haven't read if you guys haven't read Leia, Princess of Alderaan, the very last couple lines of that book, if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. Those are a gut punch. Those make you go, oh my God, and then into the book. So let Claudia Gray write the death of Leia. I think she's earned it at this point. I think that's the best way you can honor her character and honor her, Carrie Fisher. I don't think you should take the risk of giving it to somebody else and risking, I don't care how good of an actress Meryl Streep is, you run the risk of ruining the character. ruining the final, performance of that character. So that's what I think they should do with Leia. And to be honest, part of me is kind of glad the Meryl Streep thing was simply rumor. So remember, guys, there's like 3 different layers of, stories breaking. It's rumor, report, and then, actual confirmed stories. So, and that was just a rumor. That was the lowest tier. So, guys, don't believe stuff like that until you actually start hearing reports. Then there might actually be some credence to it. So remember that. And the final question this week comes from Neil Benton. And Neil says, my questions are regarding the Forces of Destiny episodes that are being released. First, when do Jyn's episodes take place? Her entire life was covered in Rebel Rising, and there was no time for these episodes to happen. Second, I was under the impression that Forces of Destiny was meant to focus more on women. Season 2 has branched out. Thoughts? Thanks for the question, Neil. Your first question, where do the Jyn episodes take place? If you remember in Rebel Rising, there was a paragraph pretty close to the end of that book, right before she actually gets captured and taken to Wabani. There was a paragraph in that book that said over the next several years, Jyn traveled the galaxy. She went to Lothal. She went to this planet. She went to that planet. She went to this planet. That is the only physical time that these Jyn episodes could have taken place. And it makes sense with her traveling the galaxy, also going to all these different places. It makes sense that that's where that would take place. And, there was a decade there that was covered in just that paragraph alone of just her traveling and doing different things. So that's where those Jyn episodes take place. It's somewhere during that gap. Now, some of those episodes of Jyn really don't make a whole lot of sense. They're not really consistent with her character. She was trying to hide who she was. She didn't want to be an Urso anymore. That's why she started going by, Liana Halleck. She changed her name. But in some of those episodes, she'll tell a little girl, my name's Jyn Urso. Something like that, So those weren't entirely consistent with her character, I believe. And she seemed really happy in those. Jyn always seemed to me like a very bitter, just a bitter person. You know what I mean? Very grumpy, very... what's the word I'm looking for? Okay, excuse my language. Like she had resting bitch syndrome, if that makes any sense. Like she just looked like somebody you wouldn't want to walk up to and just start a conversation with. The second part of your question, when you said I was under the impression Forces of Destiny was meant to focus more on women, you were correct. Forces of Destiny was originally meant to focus on the women of Star Wars. That's why it was mainly Rey, Leia, Hera, Sabine, Paige and Rose. You're right. That's what that was originally intended for. For those of you that don't know what he's talking about with Season 2 branching out, Season 2 had a couple of episodes that had no women in it whatsoever. Well, one episode in particular that had no women in it. It was a Luke and Yoda story. And it kind of goes against what Forces of Destiny was meant to do in the first place. So... do I have a problem with it? No, but they need to come out and say something, along the lines of, hey guys, we've decided to do this with Forces of Destiny. We're branching out a lot more. We're just going to use this opportunity to tell short stories, just little clippets here and there that you can mix in with everything else. Don't advertise it as focusing on women of Star Wars and then put a Luke and Yoda and R2 episode from Empire Strikes Back in there with no women in it. You cannot do that. That is technically false advertising. So... I think it's either way. I'm happy with it. Either way, if you have a female centric medium to tell Star Wars in, awesome, great, more power to you. If you want to make it where it's just short little clips here and there, more power to you. Do it. Do whatever you feel like you need to do, Disney. But at least market it in a way. Just at least keep it in the same pattern of what you're marketing it as. That's all I ask. So, I watched all of Season 2 of Forces of Destiny. I really I actually liked it better than Season 1. But excuse me. I'm curious to see what they're going to end up doing with that series. Because there was one episode, I think it was the end of Season 1, it was a Hera episode, had Leia in it, but it had Han in it as well, I mean, the Ahsoka ones have Anakin in it, but that one with Yoda and Luke, that was during his training on Dagobah. So, and they actually brought Mark Hamill back to voice him, to voice Luke. So if you guys have not checked those out, definitely go watch Forces of Destiny. Some of them are definitely worth picking up. Now, as far as the comics go with Forces of Destiny, I thought they were going to be new stories, but they're essentially comic adaptations of the episodes. That's really what they are, with a couple little extra things added in between. So if you're OCD and you have to read everything, I would get the comics and then watch the episodes on YouTube. They're free anyway. You're not spending any money for Forces of Destiny on YouTube, so at least go check them out. Give them a shot. So I hope that answered your question, Neil. Guys, thank you so much for the questions this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said earlier, this channel wouldn't be anything without you guys. We just crossed the 700 subscriber mark. That's, 690 more than I ever thought I would get. I never in a million years thought I would get any more than a dozen subscribers, with something like this, me just telling my opinion and putting it out there. Guys, thank you so much for that. I guess I'm on a journey to 1,000 subscribers at this point. I hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, I'm gonna lose my mind. So thank you guys so much for that. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys tune in every week just to hear me babble about Star Wars. This is my passion. I love Star Wars. I love talking to you guys about Star Wars. Let me know in the comment section below, guys, your thoughts on any of these questions. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And I do my best to interact with you guys as much as I can on YouTube. So guys, make sure to visit the website, www.starwarscanonlibrary.com. There is an entire timeline there of everything canon in chronological order, up to date at this point. Cover art for every comic, every novel, every film poster, everything can be found there, as well as a list of upcoming canon. Every single comic issue is on that list of upcoming canon. So if you guys want to know what is coming out over the next several months, make sure to head over there and check out what is coming out. Guys, if you like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. If you really like to hit that subscribe button, I would sure appreciate it. I'm getting tongue-tied again, sorry. Make sure to visit the Facebook page as well. Give us a thumbs up there. So until next time, guys, this is Brian signing off, and may the Force be with you. Hey guys, make sure to check out the website. It is www.starwarscanonlibrary.com. You can email us anytime with any questions for any Star Wars canon material whatsoever. It's just starwarscanonlibrary@gmail.com. Make sure to check out our Facebook page as well. It is facebook.com/starwarscanonlibrary. If you guys like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. There's plenty more videos coming where this one came from. If you really liked it, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'd sure appreciate it.